What if Roronoa Zoro had eaten a devil fruit? Will the devil fruit increase his stamina or become a hindrance to his unique fighting style? Roronoa Zoro is already regarded as one of the strongest fighters on the seas. He can take down nearly any opponent with his Sentoryu 3-sword style. But just imagine, what new levels of power could Zoro reach if he possessed the abilities of a devil fruit? In this video, we'll explore 3 devil fruits and how each could impact Zoro. The weapon fruit, diamond fruit, and the blade-balled fruit. Which one could help Zoro get closer to his ultimate dream, and which could throw off his fighting balance? Let's find out. The weapon fruit is a pretty self-explanatory power. It allows the user to transform parts of their body into various weapons. We're talking blades, guns, maces, spears, and the works. For a master swordsman like Zoro, gaining this devil fruit seems like it could be incredibly beneficial and take his skills to the next level. Imagine Zoro being able to transform his arms into sharp steel blades, adding even more slashing and cutting power to his Sentoryu-style attacks. He could morph his legs into a spiked mace or scythe to increase his kicking devastation, and Zoro's already impressive strength would become even more monstrous with weaponized limbs. This fruit would also grant Zoro more versatility in combat. Instead of relying solely on his 3 swords, he could spontaneously generate whatever weapon suits the situation. A naginata to extend his rage, a claymore for heavy striking, or even a cannon if extremely long range is needed. Zoro is extremely creative in battle. The weapon fruit would let him access an almost endless arsenal on the fly using his own body. And imagine the intimidation factor Zoro would gain from transforming into more and more outlandish and powerful weapons. He could shock foes by turning his torso into a morning star or crushing them with a giant spike club from his arm. The weapons are only limited by Zoro's imagination. Pretty amazing, right? Well, maybe not. While the weapon fruit seems like an obvious power-up for Zoro on paper, there could be some serious downsides. For one, Zoro may come to overly rely on the fruit's powers in battle rather than his own hard-trained skills. His previous total mastery of Sentoryu sword combat could diminish if he uses his new weapons as a crutch. The over-reliance could cause Zoro to get lazy and lose discipline. Failing to train daily could dull his senses and weaken his physique. And going against Mihawk using unfamiliar weapon limbs rather than his honored katana could violate Zoro's ideals as a swordsman, seeking ultimate skill above all else. The spontaneity of unlimited weapon transformations may also undermine Zoro's mindset of patience and focus in battle. Part of his power comes from reading situations and opponents to find precise openings. Reacting rashly with constant weapon changes could throw off his mental clarity. And Zoro takes great pride in his named techniques like Onigiri and 720 caliber Phoenix. These signature moves require precise blade work. Randomly sprouting weapon limbs mid-fight could disrupt their non-swarms. Overall, the weapon fruit has plenty of potential pros, but could jeopardize foundational aspects of martial skill and mental discipline that Zoro values most. He would have to be very cautious not to let it become a distracting shortcut, undermining his dreams. That was only one of the 3 possible devil fruits Zoro could eat. Let's move toward the next devil fruit. Another devil fruit that Zoro could eat is the diamond fruit. The diamond fruit is a Logia-type devil fruit that gives the user diamond powers. They can transform their entire body into an incredibly hard and shiny diamond material. For Zoro, gaining his ability could make him practically untouchable in combat. Just imagine Zoro coating his muscular flame in a glittering rock-hard diamond. It would then become a walking tank, impervious to many attacks. Swords would simply glance off his diamond skin rather than cutting his flesh. Zoro already has enormous strength and endurance, but diamond powers could make him nigh invulnerable. This fruit would also synergize well with Zoro's combat style and swordsmanship skills. When wielding his katana, Zoro could choose to diamondize just his arms, allowing him to keep slicing with diamond-sharp edges. Opponents' weapons would shatter against his arms, while Zoro's own swords retain their unparalleled cutting power. With Zoro's phenomenal strength, he could still deliver bone-crushing blows with his diamond limbs. Imagine a diamond-hard fist blowing into foes with terrifying blunt force. The diamond fruit provides defensiveness without fully sacrificing Zoro's overwhelming offense. Zoro could use armament haki to coat his diamond body or weapons with an extra layer of hardness. This combo would make damaging him nearly impossible for anyone not at the level of a Yonko. We're talking protection on the level to go toe-to-toe with admirals and Yonko. Zoro could directly absorb hits of tremendous force that would one-shot normal enemies. This buys him time to get in close and counterattack. The diamond would provide wide area coverage and structural strength, while the haki reinforces with concentrated targeted hardening at key impact points. Together, they cover both broad defense and precision protection. Now, some possible downsides. While diamond powers enhance Zoro's defenses exponentially, they could also slow him down on the offense. Diamond's sheer weight could reduce Zoro's speed and reaction time, making him more of a lumbering tank. This heaviness could encourage Zoro to get a bit lazy as well, relying more on his nigh invincibility rather than perfecting his sword skills through hard work. Why train for hours on technique when he can just pummel enemies through diamond brute force? And Zoro is already so stoic and serious in battle. Gaining defensive diamond powers could make him even more stiff and devoid of passion during fights. Part of Zoro's appeal is his aggressive, reckless style. Diamond Shell could encourage too cautious of an approach. There is also the question of whether total diamond transformation would make Zoro unable to swim, a major liability for a pirate, and it could become harder to treat Zoro's injuries with a shining diamond surface covering wounds. Overall, the diamond fruit has obvious advantages for durability, but it could also sap some of the raw intensity and charisma from Zoro's fighting spirit if overly relied on. Powerful as diamonds may be, Zoro's true strength arises from skill and unbreakable will. Okay, let's discuss the third devil fruit of our list. The Blade fruit is a paramecia-type devil fruit that would allow the user to transform parts of their body into sharp blades. For a dedicated swordsman like Zoro, gaining the powers of this fruit could take his skills to unbelievable new heights. Just imagine Zoro being able to sprout deadly blades from his arms, legs, shoulders, and even chest. He could have an arsenal of razor-sharp edges protruding from his body to slice up enemies. Zoro already incorporates a three-sword style in his Sentoryu technique. The blade fruit would let him wield 5, 6, even 10 swords at once, all connected right to his body. With a surplus of live blades at his disposal, Zoro could utilize them for multi-directional and unpredictable attacks from all angles, overwhelming opponents with a bewildering storm of steel. Rather than methodically switching between 3 swords, Zoro could have simultaneous access to triple or quadruple, that number for relentless multi-bladed assaults no enemy could keep up with. He wouldn't have to waste precious seconds drawing new swords. The blades would already be there as extensions of his body, ready to slash away. Just picture adversaries futilely trying to block and evade an onslaught of blades sprouting all over Zoro's body, slicing from unexpected directions. And having numerous blades fused to his limbs would enable all manner of complex, elaborate techniques. With limitless blades, the possibilities for new creative forms are endless. The blades would be owned to perfect sharpness and under Zoro's full control. He could extend and retract them at will for catching foes off guard with surprise quick strike attacks. Opponents would never know where the next slash is coming from, and these body blades would never become dull or break against armor like metal ones. We know Zoro has prodigious strength already to cleave enemies in two, but just picture the devastation he could do now with the force of a muscular body propelling living blades right through crowds of Navy soldiers or pirates. No one would dare approach him in combat. Zoro could even choose to transform only his hands and feet into blades, allowing for dual sword kick attacks. His raw power channeled through bladed fingertips and toes could shred enemies to ribbons in an instant. No part of Zoro's body would be safe to get near for foes. And since the blades originate from Zoro himself, he could channel armament haki directly through them, making the edges tougher than the finest steel. Enemies could break their weapons trying to block Zoro's body blades enhanced with haki. He would be a lethally untouchable hurricane of slicing death. As if those advantages weren't enough, Zoro would still be able to wield his traditional 3 katana in addition to activated body blades. Just the sheer combinations and multi-directional attacks he could unleash are staggering. 8, 10, 12 simultaneous slashes crashing down on immobilized enemies, Zoro's Sentoryu style taken to nightmarish new levels. And this fruit retains Zoro's versatility. He can switch selected parts back to normal flesh when needed for grappling, running, etc. He can even turn his entire body to blades, becoming a living steel porcupine. No pirate or marine would dare confront the spiky whirlwind. Make no mistake, the blade fruit would make Zoro an absolute monster in combat, but it crucially fits his fighting spirit too. The spontaneity and endless creativity of blade attacks would perfectly suit Zoro's improvisational style, and it emphasizes his swordsmanship rather than overwhelming it. While Logias like Diamond might encourage laziness, blade powers demand focus to coordinate all limbs and angle of attacks. Zoro couldn't rely on defense, he would need to train hard to master transforming and moving blades fluidly. It complements rather than replaces his skills. The fruit does have some drawbacks to consider. Pirates couldn't treat Zoro's wounds if his body is blades, and fall damage could shatter his steel limbs if not careful. Also, accidental transformations could really ruin dinner parties, but the raw boost to Zoro's offense and multi-directional sword attacks are perfectly aligned. He doesn't have to give up his treasured katana, rather the blade fruit augments them with Zoro's own body as the ultimate weapon. It pushes Zoro's power to new heights while retaining his swordsman's spirit. If you ask me, I'd say the blade fruit would be the best fruit for Zoro. What do you think? Which fruit will be the best for him? Let me know in the comments down below. What about Sanjay? What devil fruits would be the best for him? We'll talk on this subject in our next video. So subscribe now if you don't want to miss that video.